Hello everyone, what's up? So today's video, I'm going to do another Tarantula Mythbuster video, but first I have one shoutout request to this user. I believe I did give him before, quite a while ago. He told me his channel has gone better, so subscribe to AS303298. He's obviously into the Mario hacks that I like to make during my spare time. Okay, so as a request from 25LNQB, Matt from Germany, he's asked me to make a little Mythbuster video on the Grammostola Pulchripes, the chalk goldney. And I believe other people have asked me to do one, so if I do forget your name, I'm sorry. Because I have a lot of people that do talk to me on a day-to-day basis, send me a lot of comments and personal messages, so I don't tend to remember so much different names. But anyways, let's get started with the Mythbuster video. Okay, so as always, the same structure as I used to do and used to come to know and love. Okay, so we'll start off with a common name. So it's either one or two, which exactly means the same thing. Chaco goldney or Chaco golden stripe because of the legs. I prefer, honestly, the first one over the two because it's more of a knee that you'll eventually see then rather stripes. Okay, so the Latin name, okay, so there are one official Latin name that's been described in the Platonic. It is Grammostola Pulchripes. Has been in effect since 2009. When it was first discovered in 2001, they used to name it Grammostola aurestriata, which is coincidentally the exact same specimen. So a lot of online dealers, sometimes they may put the old name, so please do not confuse yourself with aurestriata and Pulchripes. They are exactly the same thing. So don't buy an aurestriata and not expect it that it is a Pulchripes. So why they change it, of course, like I believe I made a video on this particular change, is that the aurestriata is a junior name, whereas Pulchripes is a senior name. So this is why they dropped the term. Okay, and the pronunciation of the Latin name is Grammostola, which is pretty easy to pronounce, and then Pulchripes, just like pulchra in my pulcher video that I did on the silent post species, which was back in Mythbuster video 16. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the availability and the cost of these specimens. So these species are readily available on online dealers. You won't exactly find them in pet stores. Maybe you'll get lucky to come across one on an exotic dealer. But the costs are pretty generally cheap for one. As half-inch spiderlings, they range in price as little as about $5 to about $15 depending on where you're getting it from. However, if you decide to go for a larger sexed female, you would probably pay a little bit more expensive than a sling. So I would expect a 3-inch female going for at least $100 to $125. Adults will probably cost you in the $150 to $200 range. This, of course, this is estimated prices, which I think it's fair for a G.pulchripes. So now I'm going to talk about the relative sizes, the females, the males, and the lifespans. So if you see right here, these are all the 4 G.pulchripes that I have. I have Peach here, which is a 3.5-inch to 4-inch female. I have Wendy, who is a 3-inch female. I have Mario in the blue bin, who's a 3-inch male. And my largest female, Charlotte, who's about 5 inches. Okay, so the relative sizes. So the Grammostola Pulchripes happens to be the largest of the genus. It can attain a maximum leg span of around 8 inches. Second of the largest is the Grammostola pulchra that can reach a 7-inch leg span, as you saw in my feeding videos of my G.pulchr in it. Okay, so the males and the females look exactly identical. There is no sexual dimorphism, except in mature males. of course, you would see tibial hooks, and you will see the bulbous pedipalps. The lifespan for females is pretty long. It's around 20 to 25 years. Sorry, not inches. So it's a pretty slow-growing species. And males are average about 5 to 7 years before they mature, and then they have at least 1 year left to live after they mature. Now the growth rate. The growth rate is, for Grammostolas, they're pretty slow growth rate, especially for the Rosea. So if you remember, the first Mythbuster video I did was on the G. Rosea. So just to give you an idea of how big Bloom was, she was a half an inch in about 2 years. She's this big. She's around 1.5 inches, and looks like she is dawning on leftover cricket that I did during the 64th feeding video. Now, if you want to compare it to these G.pulchripes here, the first 3, if you remember my old videos back in 2007, sorry to say that they have been lost and I really can't recover them. They were around 1/2 inch. So 1/2 inch G.pulchripes look very orange colored. So in 2 years, this is what I got. This is how big one of them is. So this is Peach. Right over here. She is a 3.5 inch sexed female. You could tell why they call it the Chaco golden knee, because they have golden knees, and I guess Chaco, that's where they come from. It is a New World terrestrial species that comes from Paraguay. And so I'll compare this one here. She's a little bit slower, but this one here, this is Wendy. Again, the same size as I got Peach from, 1/2 inch. She is desperately due for a molt, and she's very fat from all these superworms I've been feeding her. I do once every 2 weeks, if you happen to see the feeding videos. Here's again another 1/2 inch spiraling that was raised from 2009. This one here is an immature male named Mario. And this one here, this is Charlotte. This is the largest of my chacos, of my quartet. She is around a good 4.5 inch, 5 inch female. And I got her at the same time as I got my Yoshi. If you guys remember my chameleon that I used to have like a while ago. And she was roughly the same size as Amber. Thank you, Sharon, for picking up a good name for this one. Yeah, roughly got that Charlotte around that size. So in about 4 years, it got into the one you saw. So as you know, slings tend to molt much more often than the adults. Adults probably tend to molt maybe once a year or once every 2 years. Okay. Now for the enclosure setups. So enclosure setups is pretty basic. As I said, slings work well with a pill jar with air holes on the cover and on the side. So this will be perfect for your slings that are 1/2 inch to about 1 inch. Then I upgrade to 16-ounce deli containers for the 1.5 inch to around 2.5 inches. Then I start going to either critter keepers. These are the smaller variety. You know, houses Wendy Fine and Mario Fine. You can go very cheap, which is affordable. This is costs like $2.50. 6-liter shoebox enclosure. All you need is some substrate, a little cave, and a water bowl. That's all you need to house a Chaco Fine. And for an adult, you could probably house them in these containers, or you can go for the 5-gallon tank variety. Okay, so that's it. So now the care sheet, the temperature, and the humidity. Well, if you happen to own a rose here, keep them exactly like it. They do fine at 75 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and they love it at 75% humidity. So all you do is make sure you just have the fresh water bowl, make sure you have water in it, and you just overflow it. They really despise wet substrate, but as slings it's better to keep your substrate a little bit more moist than usual, because it's really not a great idea to offer slings any water dishes, because they can drown and they could possibly die. Okay, temperament and handleability. So while books say that they're fairly docile, there's one word that I really like to describe this species, their temperament, and this is the word that comes to mind. This species is very moody. So if you happen to know what moody is, means that, you know, it could react really nice at one time and then it can react really aggressively the next. So if you want to handle, you can handle them. They're very handleable, but just be aware of their temperaments. So they behave exactly like your typical Gramistolas, the Roseas, and the Pulchra. So I'll give you a demonstration of my specimens and we'll see how well they act. I'm just going to use a paintbrush. So this is what I call the paintbrush technique. I do not use my hands to prod the spider, and you'll see in a second why you would do such a thing. Okay, so here's Peach. So what you would do in order to handle them is to touch the abdomen with the soft end of the paintbrush. Okay, so she seems okay, but looks like she just wants to eat. Like, of course. Okay, now for Wendy. Let's get her down a bit. Alright. Yeah, they do flick hairs, but sometimes with Gramistolas they rarely do. So that's what Wendy looks like. She's okay. She's really due for a mold. I can actually see the bald spot coming in. Hopefully, she's really overdue for one. Okay. Mario, this is the male. Let's see if I can try to get him down. Right, touch him on the abdomen. As you can see, they're very slow species. Okay, he's pretty friendly. And I guess we'll do Charlotte. Charlotte is the one that I used to handle a lot, and then not anymore now because she really turned aggressive now. And believe me, she eats like a horse. And you would never have any problems of fasting, just like your G. rosea. These ones eat like you wouldn't believe. They have monstrous appetites. So let's see what Charlotte does. So they're really unpredictable. Sometimes Charlotte has a good days and sometimes she has her rotten days. So I got like 3 good chacos, except her. She's pretty hungry. Anyways, so now the next topic I'm going to discuss is the breeding. Breeding is fairly easy with this species. Sometimes you may have aggression towards the male, but if you do get one, it's a really great opportunity to get a nice big egg sac. Chaco Goldenies are known to get at least 800 babies. So this is how Tarantula Canada came to have so many babies, and she gave me back a couple years ago 5 of the Pulchripes, and the 3 that you see here are those very ones. So recommendations, I do recommend this for a beginner who does not want a rosea or who does not want a Beastmithy. Either they may not like the color, I hope you don't, because they're really nice species, or maybe can't afford to have a specimen of this caliber. So it's a recommendation that I recommend for the beginner. It's a great species to own. It's it can be very docile, but you just have to watch out for their temperaments. They are very moody. They're great eaters, very simple to take care of, very simple to raise as spiderlings, as you saw proof. Had them as a half-an-inch spiderling, and they just grew like molasses, but it's generally very fast growing, especially compared to the G. rosea that I said earlier. So overall, I do hope you'd enjoy this awesome Mythbuster video, and stay tuned for another one. It's going to be on an old world species, so which one should I do? Alright, see you guys.